Alright, so I'm going to give it one more minute and start the game itself. For those who are wondering, in this particular game, so I'm going to show statistics later on in the average APM for all the games that we played in the CompUSA ladder that I have access to. But this particular one, day 9, will be playing with an APM of 164, 36% redundant, which meant that his actual effective APM was 105. And I'll be playing with an APM of just 98. Which was 20% redundant, meaning I was playing with an effective APM of only 79. So quite a difference in APM in this game. In addition to that, the redundancy of APM for day 9 was increasing as the tournament went on. Both him and Tasteless were starting to take on the practice of always being clicking, always being selecting unit hotkeys and things like that, trying to keep their actions per minute as high as possible, trying to keep that speed, thinking that while they may be using it on worthless actions during many portions of the game, by keeping that speed consistently high when they have to use that speed, it'll be available and ready for them for intense macro battles or intense macroing of his bases. So we'll go ahead and get started on this game. As the white Zerg player, playing random would have been myself, UJ Knight, as my Smurf handle. And as the orange Zerg player would be day 9, playing under his handle, SleepingDrone at the time. This map is Proving Grounds, an unusual map itself, another ladder map from the old Blizzard days. You essentially have a bunch of ramps that connect the 4 different possible starting locations, and each one also has a small mini expansion. So in other words, it has a small ramp that goes up that will take you to a mineral only expansion that you could opt to take, which is a little bit easier to defend than many other natural expansions might be, because you just have to defend the ramp going up to it, with the disadvantage that the opponent can choose to attack from the ground, either your main base or your ramp. So and if you decided to protect against these bridges here, you don't know which bridge they may take into your base. So day 9 going for a, going for a Zerg Extractor and a Zerg Spawning Pool, and myself doing a similar build, slightly behind, as I think I am going for a little bit more economic ones. In other words, he went for the Spawning Pool and Extractor first, then the Overlord, whereas I went the Overlord first, then the Pool and Extractor. And you can see here we're starting to scout out, trying to find out what each other are. So there's the drone coming out from day 9. I'm still just relying on both my overlords at this point in time. Since I'm random, I'm less interested in scouting him, because I know that he's not going to do something type of cheese to me, since he doesn't know what race I am. And I don't want to give him that information any earlier than I have to. So seeing who I am, and having gone for that more conservative build, of going for the pool and gas first before the overlord, he has the Zerglings out first and is going for a quick Zergling speed, just getting in just enough gas for that Zergling speed itself that he's going up with. I see it with my overlord that was passing by as the Zerglings went beyond, I think. So these Zerglings are going to be coming up, and I have my own Zerglings that are spawning to scout out. And I think I might have missed it with the overlord, actually, judging by the lack of reaction. I have a few Zerglings pumping out, but only 3 so far. Day 9 is getting a little bit more gas and following up with much more Zerglings during this initial portion of the game. And it looks like 3 Zerglings and my drones are enough to scare him away for the time being while his speed finished yet? Yep, his speed has finished, so it looks like he's going to try to use that speed advantage to try to pick off whatever he can, doing some damage on this external Zerg hatchery right there. This drone will die. There's another one, so that's already 2 drone kills that he's gotten to catch back up on from the slightly more aggressive opening that he chose to do. And there goes another drone. So very effective pickoffs by him. While he's doing this, he is macroing and advancing the tech tree himself. This is actually a very popular opening, is this whole 9 pool, basically 9 gas into Overlord, that he did in this case, because of the fact that he would use this during the majority of his games during WCG 2001's USA qualifiers. So he knows how to play this style and how to play from this position of trying to harass you with a bunch of speedlings at the very beginning quite well. So was one of his favorite tactics to do at that point in time, one of his signature moves. And he's forcing me to build a lot of Zerglings to counter this. All I have is slow speed Zerglings. I don't have my speed, which has just come up yet, to try to keep him from picking things off. So I don't even have a single drone per mineral patch. And these two drones don't even look like they're mining. So I have two lazy drones, and he, meanwhile, does have a decent amount of tech going up himself. He hasn't been macroing that hard, is the only advantage I do have. Since he had been teching and building units, he hadn't been building any drones to get his economy off the ground. So it looks like we're probably both going to see if we can't pick each other off at all, but otherwise just get into a macro phase. Try to get our next set of tech, which for him is going to be a Zerg Spire for his tech choice. And while I have my layer, I haven't shown off mine just yet. Looks like he's going to pick up another Zergling there. And yep, there goes my tech choice, which is a Zerg Spire as well. So it looks like we're both going to be going for mutas, realizing we're cross positions. It's a long walk time to get Hydralisk or other units to each other's bases, because you essentially have to go either all the way up and all the way across, or all the way across like this and all the way up to get to each other. You can't cut across the map anyway. I'm starting to actually build up a sunken colony because I keep losing too many drones to these this nice micro that Day9 showing off right here, just picking off those drones one by one, sneaking in and sneaking out like an assassin force. He's doing very well, just using a few Zerglings to keep me from getting myself into this game and trying to keep myself from stabilizing into a position where I can start getting to the things I want to start to do. So that sunken colony will help to reduce harassment now, although it'd take me the resources to build it. And it looks like his spire is about 100 above mine for resources. He doesn't have enough minerals for it, but he does have the gas for about 6 mutas. I have the gas for about 7 mutas, so a little bit higher in the gas, since I've been doing gas a little more aggressively than he did at first, not going for that early pool quite as quickly as he did. So he's going to be pumping out Mooders at this point in time, and also a few Scourges. A few Scourge, if you don't know, in the ZVZ matchup when going up against other Mutas are quite effective. Since you don't have the critical mass to pick them off before they reach your Mutas, you can use them to weaken up another group and then send in your Mutas to finish off the splash damage Mutas to the left. And I myself am also getting some Scourges to go with my Muta Force too. They also don't cost minerals, so we're both mineral capped at the moment. So the fact they cast gas is also useful to ensure that we're spending all of our resources effectively. So while this is going on, I'm going to go ahead and put on Day9's info card. So that is, again, his placements in various WCG events, having become quite a solid player. In addition to that, his average APM over these CompUSA games being 165. We are going to go ahead and take each other's overlords, but I'm going to try to save mine with the 3 meters I do have, seeing 3-on-3, and trying to chase them away, but of course don't get there in time to rescue that poor, unfortunate overlord soul. Some pictures of Day9 from the past. This is from WCG USA 2005, which I showed earlier in a previous game. And I also have one of both him and Tasteless from that event. As you can see, always quite a pair that had practiced together and attended most events together. In other words, we're pretty inseparable as a team of players. So, much like me and my younger brother, there was the whole Plop brothers and the Anderson brothers, and also like me and my younger brother, it was sadly the younger brother of the two that was always the better player. So Day9 always outshining Tasteless a little bit in these tournaments, and Wizard always outshining myself. So both me and Tasteless both know the pain of what it's like to have a younger brother that sadly stomps upon what we were able to do at the time. I do have one more photo of Day9. This one is from, wait, so there's action going on, so I'll wait on that. It looks like I am charging with my mutas, trying to push forward with Mutaling, trying to see what I can do with that. It looks like that this Spore Colony has done work. The defensive advantage is too strong, and Day9 will hold that quite easily. And it looks like he now has the advantage in terms of muta count, with 27 to 25 feud and only 2 mutas sitting on my base's defense, only 1 spore colony in the very back. So these mutas are going to fly up and across, and while those do that, I'll explain this picture very quickly. That picture is from WCG 2003's either qualifier or grand final, USA grand finals. I don't know which one they didn't mention on the picture. But you can see Day 9 in the back there watching Asem and somebody else that I can't remember who playing in that event. So here we go. We have a muta-on-muta battle with Day 9 having slightly more numbers, and it looks like I am on the defensive back foot here. I should actually move my overlords back, but unfortunately have not started to do so yet. But he has complete map control at this point, and he has been building up a few Zerglings now to stream across. Our food counts are now 33 to 35, both of us near our population cap. Neither of us going for upgrades. Right now it's just all pure units, no expansions, except for this one that Day 9 just threw in the upper right. And it looks like he may be trying a counter-attack himself as these Zerglings and Mutalisks collapse on together. So he's going to go in here and try to take out my Spire. If he takes out the Spire, I'll be unable to produce any anti-air units. And if I don't have any anti-air units, I lose all map control. And the Spire will live with 17 HP at the moment. Will he snipe it? Yes, it will be successfully sniped. So he does have to lose a few mutas for that, but he has successfully maintained now the fact that I will be unable to move out of my base for quite some period of time, at least until I have another Spire up and running. So it looks like I am going for a counterattack now, realizing my Spire is dead and that I'm pretty far behind. The Spire is going to take quite a while to get back up and running. So the mutas, I only have 3 of them since I'm unable to build any more. They kind of get interrupted by Day 9's mutas. So I'm just having to run forward. I'm going to try to see... Oh, I'm sorry, I have more mutas than he does. I have it backwards. I'm going to claim that that was on purpose. I was just seeing if you were paying attention. Essentially, I do have a slight muta advantage. I just am unable to build any more, and his base up here is not being utilized just yet. And I have just decided to check for that with this drone that was going to expand myself. So seeing that there was a base there, that was where I was so rudely where I was going to be, I decided that I'm going to instead attack there instead of attacking his main base. That would have been futile at that point in time. So this base will fall. Day 9's mutas have arrived to reinforce it. It does look like he doesn't have the numbers, despite having had the ability to build more mutas than me to stop my force here. And the ground force is going to go to me barely, although these few Zergling reinforcements from him should clear that up, nothing else going on really at the moment. In terms of upgrades, I am 1-0. He is also 1-0. And it looks like both of us have kind of stabilized back at one base. I'm going to try the expansion route again, as is Day 9. Both of us trying to get up that expansion and try to get a secondary base saturated. Unable to do so up to this point in time. It does look like his drone count is very, very low at his main base. That might be what's been allowing me to stay in this game. It doesn't look like he's ever fully saturated his main base for some reason. Let's look at mine. I think I have... it's not much better. So neither one of us have really saturated our bases very well. Both constantly pumping out units rather than actually pumping out drones. In terms of the supply count, I do have the muta advantage now, having, despite the fact I lost my Spire earlier, having come back up with more mutas than he has. And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to stop my attack in this expansion here at this current moment. Here comes some surges. Nope. Not quite enough. I'm also streaming in with Zerglings, trying to get across to that base, the expansion there to finish that off. Right now it's a race to see whoever can establish an expansion. So he's sending his Zerglings around, realizing he can't defend there anymore, to try to kill my expansion. So as long as neither of us get an expansion up, the game will still be relatively even. And yes, there were no tactics like muta stacking or patrol macro or anything else like that. We just kind of flew them in a line. The best we did was simply use Scourges with the macro the Scourges to attack different mutas. So his Zerglings do not look like they're going to be able to finish off this hatchery. And my Zerglings are returning back from their successful attack on his previous natural expansion. And now that I have a source of gas being the most important mineral right now to build more mutas, this is going to become quite a challenge for him to deal with. And that would be it. So again, no messages were actually captured in these replays in 1.09, so I assume GGs were exchanged, and that was our ZBZ game on Proving Grounds. Also worth a note as a little factoid for anybody curious is, again, I said that they both, the Plot brothers, were starting to get into that whole always be clicking type of mentality to try to get your speed up, always be moving your mouse regardless if the actions are useful or not. So the other game option that was in the poll, Tasteless versus myself, Tasteless had an APM of 146 in that game, but only had an effective APM of 82, 44% redundant. So they had very high APMs, but at this point in time, they weren't able to translate them into useful actions yet. They will do that in the future after they got their speed up, but at this point, a lot of their APM movements for both of them were more focused on building up that speed. So the next game, which I'll bring up in just a second, is going to be Fraz versus Wizard on Lost Temple.